The idyllic landscape of Kashmir was shattered on April 22, 2025. A horrific terrorist attack near Pahalgam left 26 people dead. Most of the victims were Indian tourists enjoying the region's famed beauty. The attack sent shockwaves through India and reignited tensions with Pakistan. A previously unknown group, calling themselves Kashmir Resistance, claimed responsibility. This group remains shrouded in mystery. Its origins, motives, and potential links to existing militant organizations are unclear. India wasted no time in pointing fingers at Pakistan. They accused their neighbor of harboring and supporting the terrorists. India claims Pakistan provides safe havens and logistical support to groups aiming to destabilize Kashmir. Pakistan vehemently denies any involvement. They call the accusations baseless and irresponsible. Pakistan maintains that the attack was a false flag operation orchestrated by India itself to discredit Pakistan on the world stage. The Pahalgam attack triggered immediate and severe consequences. Both India and Pakistan, locked in a decades-long struggle over Kashmir, engaged in a flurry of retaliatory measures. Diplomatic ties were swiftly downgraded. Ambassadors were recalled and communication channels were restricted. The symbolic Wagah-Attari border crossing, a vital link between the two nations, was abruptly closed. Visas were revoked, preventing citizens from crossing the border. The free flow of people, a cornerstone of any hope for normalized relations, ground to a halt. Families with loved ones on the other side faced agonizing separation. Along the volatile line of control, which divides the disputed region, an exchange of fire erupted. While no casualties were reported in the immediate aftermath, the incident underscored the ever-present danger of escalation. India summoned the Pakistani envoy in New Delhi, delivering a stern message of condemnation and a demand for accountability. Pakistan responded in kind, summoning the Indian envoy and issuing a categorical denial of any involvement. To understand the gravity of the Pahalgam attack, one must grasp the complex history and geopolitical significance of Kashmir. This region, nestled in the Himalayas, has been a source of bitter dispute and conflict for over 75 years. Kashmir, covering approximately 85,800 square miles, is home to around 20 million people. It is a land of breathtaking beauty, but its stunning landscapes belie a deeply troubled reality. The region is divided among three nuclear-armed nations: India, Pakistan, and China. India administers the most populous part of Kashmir, including the fertile Kashmir Valley, Jammu, and Ladakh. Pakistan controls a smaller portion, known as Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and Gilgit-Baltistan. China holds the sparsely populated Aksai Chin and the strategically vital Shaksgam Valley. The crux of the conflict lies in the unresolved question of Kashmir's rightful ownership. Both India and Pakistan claim the entire region as their own, citing historical, religious, and political arguments. This territorial dispute has fueled two of the three major wars between the two countries. The roots of the Kashmir conflict can be traced back to the tumultuous partition of British India in 1947. As the British Empire crumbled, the Indian subcontinent was cleaved into two new nations, India and Pakistan. The partition was based on the principle of religious majority, with Muslim-majority areas becoming part of Pakistan. However, the fate of princely states, ruled by local monarchs, was left ambiguous. Kashmir, with a Muslim-majority population but ruled by a Hindu Maharaja, faced a difficult choice. The Maharaja initially hesitated to join either India or Pakistan, hoping to preserve Kashmir's independence. However, as unrest spread and tribal militias from Pakistan crossed into Kashmir, the Maharaja acceded to India in exchange for military assistance. This accession, disputed by Pakistan, ignited the First India-Pakistan War over Kashmir in 1947-48. The war ended in a stalemate, dividing Kashmir along a ceasefire line that later became the line of control. Despite multiple rounds of negotiations and international mediation efforts, the fundamental question of Kashmir's future remains unresolved. Section 5. A battlefield for generations, military presence and insurgency. The unresolved status of Kashmir has turned the region into one of the most militarized zones in the world. Both India and Pakistan maintain a heavy military presence along the line of control and within their respective administered territories. India has deployed over 750,000 troops in Jammu and Kashmir, making it one of the densest military concentrations anywhere on the planet. Pakistan, facing a two-front situation with India and Afghanistan, has deployed around 120,000 soldiers along the LOC, and an estimated 230,000 in the region. Adding to the volatility is the presence of various militant groups operating in Indian-administered Kashmir. These groups, advocating for Kashmiri self-determination or a merger with Pakistan, have been engaged in an armed insurgency against Indian rule since the late 1980s. India accuses Pakistan of providing material support, training and safe havens to these militant groups, including Hizbul Mujahideen, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Pakistan denies these allegations, claiming it only offers moral support to the Kashmiri people's struggle for self-determination. The presence of these militant groups in the Indian military's counterinsurgency operations have resulted in a cycle of violence and human rights abuses, trapping civilians in a deadly crossfire. Section 6. Water Wars, the Indus Treaty at stake. The conflict over Kashmir extends beyond territorial disputes and military confrontations. It also encompasses the crucial issue of water resources, adding another layer of complexity and tension to the relationship between India and Pakistan. At the heart of this water dispute lies the Indus Waters Treaty, a landmark agreement signed in 1960. Brokered by the World Bank, the treaty governs the sharing of the waters of the Indus River system, a lifeline for both countries. Under the treaty, the eastern rivers, Sutlej, Beas, and Ravi, are allocated to India, while the western rivers, Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, are primarily allocated to Pakistan. The treaty also outlines mechanisms for data sharing, technical cooperation, and dispute resolution. However, the treaty has come under strain in recent years. India, asserting its riparian rights, has embarked on several hydroelectric projects on the western rivers, raising concerns in Pakistan. Pakistan argues that these projects violate the treaty's provisions and threaten its water security. The Pahalgam attack further escalated the water dispute. India hinted at suspending the Indus Waters Treaty, sending shockwaves through Pakistan. Pakistan, heavily reliant on the Indus and its tributaries for agriculture and hydropower generation, warned that any attempt to divert water would be considered an act of war. Section 7. Diplomacy on hold, trade and travel disrupted. The Pahalgam attack and the ensuing diplomatic standoff have had far-reaching consequences, impacting not only political relations but also trade and travel between India and Pakistan. India swiftly downgraded its diplomatic ties with Pakistan, recalling its High Commissioner and announcing plans to reduce diplomatic staff in Islamabad. Pakistan reciprocated, recalling its High Commissioner from New Delhi and suspending all bilateral trade. The closure of the Wagah-Attari border crossing, a vital trade and transit route, brought cross-border movement to a standstill. This closure has had a significant impact on businesses and communities on both sides, particularly small traders and industries reliant on cross-border commerce. The suspension of trade has also disrupted established supply chains, leading to shortages and price hikes for essential commodities. The agricultural sector, a cornerstone of both economies, has been particularly hard hit, with farmers facing difficulties in transporting their produce across the border. Furthermore, the closure of the border has disrupted the flow of goods through the traditional Afghan transit trade route, which relies on Pakistani ports for access to the Arabian Sea. This disruption has had ripple effects on Afghanistan's landlocked economy, exacerbating its existing challenges. Section 8. On the brink, nuclear threats and broken promises. The Pahalgam attack and the subsequent escalation have raised serious concerns about the potential for a larger conflict between India and Pakistan. The presence of nuclear weapons in the arsenals of both countries adds a chilling dimension to the situation, turning a regional dispute into a matter of global concern. In the aftermath of the attack, Pakistan threatened to suspend the Simla Agreement, a landmark peace accord signed in 1972 after the Bangladesh Liberation War. The Simla Agreement, which sought to normalize relations and resolve disputes through bilateral negotiations, has been a cornerstone of efforts to maintain peace in South Asia. Pakistan's threat to abandon the Simla Agreement, while likely intended as a pressure tactic, underscores the fragility of the existing peace framework. The agreement, which has weathered numerous crises over the years, represents a crucial guardrail against escalation, and its potential unraveling is a cause for deep anxiety. The specter of nuclear war, while improbable, casts a long shadow over the conflict. Both India and Pakistan have developed sophisticated nuclear arsenals, and the possibility of miscalculation, accident, or deliberate escalation cannot be ruled out. Section 9. Voices from the Valley: Civilian Costs of a Perpetual Conflict. While political leaders engage in a war of words and military posturing, it is the ordinary people of Kashmir who bear the brunt of the ongoing conflict. The Pahalgam attack, far from being an isolated incident, is a stark reminder of the human toll exacted by the enduring dispute. In the aftermath of the attack, residents of Kashmir expressed a mix of sadness, anger, and resignation. Many condemned the violence, emphasizing that such acts only serve to perpetuate the cycle of suffering that has plagued their land for generations. Candlelight vigils were held in Srinagar, the summer capital of Indian-administered Kashmir, as people mourned the victims and called for peace. However, amidst the grief and calls for unity, a sense of deep-seated fear and uncertainty prevailed. Kashmiri students studying in other parts of India faced a backlash, with reports of harassment, threats, and evictions. The Jammu and Kashmir Students Association (JKSA) reported numerous instances of discrimination and hostility directed at Kashmiri students, forcing many to flee their universities and return home. The closure of the Wagah-Attari border crossing has further isolated Kashmiris, separating families and severing social and cultural ties. The economic impact of the border closure has also been severe, disrupting livelihoods and deepening the sense of despair.